So what specifically about Brion's music pulled you in?
Well, when I heard Brion's music, I realized that he had been studying almost everything I produced. He wanted me. Although Brion clearly studied my past, I found him to be refreshing. He didn't sound like David Bowie, he didn't sound like T-Rex, he sounded like himself. He's got a really, really unique voice. And the types of songs were like, I liked them, they were all kind of decadent, about decadence. And that's one of my favorite topics, actually.
When you received Brion's album, you had already begun it. So what did you feel compelled to add? And what was your role in the album itself?
Well, with this album, I knew where they were going and what they were going for. They even used the Chateau d'Hérouville, which was part of the formula. It has a sound, it has a piano there, it's got a vibe that, you know, your environment always affects the way you make a record. You know, if you live in a city and you go out every night, you somehow get the nightclub the next day into the session. When I got the tracks, the multi-tracks to mix, I was flabbergasted. It was so nice. I mean, by passing all the instruments through synthesizers and harmonizer, they already had great sounds. I just did more of the same, you know, with my effects. I just took his lead. You know, as a producer, I don't try to put too much of myself into it. I want to make the artist sound as good as possible, represent everything the artist does and all that. And then I often ask permission. I mean, I did some backing vocals that he didn't ask for, but I heard them.
I came in the next day.
And I did backing vocals for T-Rex and David Bowie and all that. And so I said, I just hear them. And I said, if you don't like them, I'll just wipe them. But he gave me a thumbs up on it.
And then we got into shakers and we did like the baritone bass on that song. And
I did play some instruments, but I can't, you know, it looks, I forgot. He's right, I did play this baritone guitar, right?
Yeah, I love that. The Dan Electra. I honestly think, I don't think there was anything that we put on those tracks after that we took off.
No.
I think we used everything. We just clicked instantly. And
So it turned out to be quite a stunning album to listen to. It's never a dull moment on this album, never a dull moment. If it's not his vocals, it's some little ear thing going on in your right ear, you know, some sound, some little squeak or some musical motif that comes on just for a second or two. So between the two of us, we really jam-packed that album, you know, full of yummy stuff.
That leads to my next question. How do you feel recording at the Chateau impacted the overall sound of A Night to Remember? And what qualities of the room bled into your music?
I'd recorded in big rooms before, but this was kind of a different thing. We had to, the first, 4 days we were there, we were just kind of moving the drums around and figuring out where we wanted to place things. But once we got things rolling, the first couple songs, we were kind of feeling it out, and then I could really use the room as an instrument, and that became really cool because I hadn't experimented so much in that way before.
Absolutely.
And that was really exciting. And just, even like we recorded some vocals in the stone stairwell, which sounded amazing. So we used the room itself quite a lot, but we used the whole castle kind of.
And what effect do you think that it brought to A Night to Remember that, say if you recorded it in your studio in New York, would have lacked?
Well, the drums are just phenomenal, I guess, yeah. That was one thing that I learned from Tony. We took all the drums and we ran everything through the harmonizer, so the drums have this effect that that sounds, very much from the school of what Tony does, but also kind of living electronics, I think I would say. And that was kind of a big motivation behind the record. We ran every instrument through some sort of synthesizer, and that was really exciting for me because we had used synthesizers on the previous albums, but to kind of capture that sort of live electronics feeling in a band oriented way is really exciting for me, and that's one of the things about the album that I kind of dig the most.
Wow, that was going to lead to my next question. Where do you feel you pushed Brion the most on this album to maybe escape his comfort zone? And you could probably answer that as well.
Did I ask you to re-sing anything?
There was the butler. We did the fifth.
I knew he
on the
could do
Butler.
better. There was one vocal. I said,
Yeah,
he's throwing it away. The song, he could be so much better if he sang. And he said yes. He was great about it.
And we added. Did you add backup vocals to that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
We both went in on that, and that was great because essentially we did end up keeping the original vocal, but I did a fifth under.
Yes.
And that was challenging for me, and that was like something that I hadn't thought of before. And that really was like exciting for me. And even the band and some other people were like, oh no, that vocal's so good, let's keep it that way. And I was like, I'm gonna give this a shot, and I'm gonna do it. And I was like, not feeling it at first either, but then when I finally hit what you were trying to convey to me, it just went, and like the whole song sucked together. And it was like, that was a very special moment. That was something as well that you kind of showed me. I remember you said something very specific, which was, you want something to change every 5-6 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's when you started adding things, because I was like, oh yeah, that would be cool if that did that. And then, we went in to mix this album. We were supposed to be in for a week or something, maybe a bit more than a week.
Very optimistic.
We ended up in there 3 weeks.
3 weeks. But these things take time. You can't rush them.